This video touches on some sore spots in American history. I look forward to your comments, but please keep them respectful. Well, Linda and I are in one of our favorite places. It's Gibbon's Pass. It's down in the southwestern area of the state of Montana. It's at the south end of the Bitterroot Valley. And the reason this is one of our favorite places is because of who passed here before us. Yeah?
Right.
Like who?
Oh, Lewis and Clark and his group of explorers, and Chief Joseph and his band of Nez Perce.
Right.
And all the other explorers.
And trappers.
Trappers.
Yeah. The thing about it is, well, let me give you a little history first. Well, along this trail, like Linda mentioned, it was Clark and his group that separated from Lewis, but he came over Gibbon's Pass. And it was the main trail for the Native Americans at that time. It was a main travel route. And then, but later on came Chief Joseph. The other famous group that came through here was Chief Joseph and his group of Indians, about 800 strong. There was a total of 5 chiefs in that group. They were forced out of the Wallowa Valley in Oregon because their treaty was broken. Their treaty was signed in 1855, giving them their homeland there. And that very same year, 1855, gold was discovered in there, and their treaty was being violated from that point. In 1863, they made their area 1/10 the size of the original homeland they were given, and then it was even violated from that point on, with gold seekers and settlers coming in. By 1877, they were forced out. So they had left the Wallowa Valley, went through Lolo Pass near Missoula, and had one battle en route at Whitebird, where they were attacked. But when they came down Lolo Pass and turned down the Bitterroot Valley, they thought they had left all their troubles behind them. So when they came through here, they were very happy. They were heading to an area of Montana where it was huge. Everybody could live in peace, no more fighting.
And along the way, through the Bitterroot Valley, the settlers, the white people and other people, were very friendly towards the Nez Perce. They traded with them, and they all got along. So they thought things were good.
They thought everything was fine now. So when they came over Gibbon's Pass, they headed down and they camped in the Big Hole Valley. Little did they know that Colonel Gibbon and his men were traveling fast. They had left the howitzer behind and the heavy artillery, whatever, and they were moving very fast, and they were only about 1 day behind the Nez Perce. So that night, the Nez Perce set up their camp in the Big Hole and went to sleep peacefully, not knowing what was going to happen in the wee hours of dawn the next morning. So the next morning, they were sleeping peacefully. They thought they'd left everything behind, and that the trouble wasn't going to follow them. They thought there'd be no more fighting, that it was over with. They didn't know what was about to happen, because Colonel Gibbon his scouts had caught up with their encampment, and he saw down into the Big Hole there along the river where they were camped. So they, during the night, snuck up on that encampment. They followed the tree line along the hillside, and then down along the base of the hill to where all the lodges were, the teepees. They were given orders to fire into the teepees low into the teepees, 3 volleys, and then they charged. There was a Corporal Loins. He said, "We received orders to give 3 volleys low into the teepees, then charge. We did so. That act would hit anyone, old as well as young, But what any individual soldier did while in the camp, he did so as a brute, not because he had any orders to commit such acts. The fighting went on for 2 days. After the first volleys started, the women and the children and the old people tried to get out of their teepees and run down towards the banks of the creek where they could maybe take some shelter there because they were out in the open. The warriors weren't prepared for battle, but they did the best they could. And they did rally out towards the, as you look at the photo here or the video here, out towards the right side and then back and to where the troops now were hiding and digging rifle pits where they could shoot down into the encampment. But the Indians pinned them down. The Indians routed and they pinned them down. On the second day, some reinforcements showed up and they had a mountain howitzer. It's a cannon, about this long, you know, and they set that up and they did manage to get 2 or 3 shots off before the Indians captured that cannon and destroyed it. And they ended up getting away with many, many wounded. And it was a horrible, horrible thing with women and children being burned in the teepees before they could even get out of their beds. It was horrible what happened there. Anyways, that's part of the story. The whole story of Chief Joseph and the Nez Perce, Linda and I have been following for the last 30 years. It's absolutely fascinating. They were trying to get down into Wyoming where I think it was the Crow, or was it the Northern Cheyenne? They were trying to join up, right?
Yeah, with the Crow, Northern Cheyenne.
Because they were living peacefully on a reservation there, and the Nez Perce wanted to go down and join them. When they got there, they were turned away, and they turned back and tried to make it into Canada, and they ended up not quite getting to the Canadian border before there was another battle up there near Chinook, Montana, and they ended up being captured there. And Chief Joseph, that's where he surrendered. There was 5 chiefs total. Not one chief of the whole band, you see. There was 5 chiefs total. But that's where Chief Joseph said, "From where the sun now stands, I will fight no more forever." And they ended up on a reservation in eastern Washington to spend the last days.
He lived out the rest of his life in Colville Reservation.
Yeah, in eastern Washington. Looking back, one thing I have a hard time understanding is why we violated the treaties over and over again. The Nez Perce were given about 70% of their actual homeland. In 1855, the U.S. signed a treaty and gave them that land. In 1855, it was violated already because they discovered gold. The prospectors discovered gold there. Created a hell of a mess. In 1863, they gave them a new treaty and they reduced that size of their reservation by 90%. They only had 10% left. And the U.S. violated that again. And that's why in 1877, the Nez Perce tried to escape and get out. I don't understand why the U.S. government kept letting settlers and prospectors violate lands that were given to the Native Americans, and they did it over and over again.
It's all about money.
All about the money. Yeah, it was a horrible thing. Yeah, you would think that after the U.S. gave them land to live on peacefully, that when a prospector or a settler violated that and went in there, you'd have thought that the U.S. government would have gone in and told those people, hey, you got to get out of here. This is Indian land. You can't stay here, and hauled them out by force if necessary. But they didn't do that. They took it away from the Indians instead. I don't get it. Of course, nobody does these days. Looking back, 20/20 hindsight. Gibbon's Pass is about 15 miles west of Wisdom, Montana, off of Highway 43. It's an 8-mile long dirt road going up to the top. This particular spot is special to me Because if you look over here on this side of me, you'll see it's steep mountain, hillside. And then if you look over on the other side, you see that the river is right here with another steep mountainside on the right on the edge of the river there. That means that Clark, when he came through here in 1806, had to walk right here on this spot. And when Chief Joseph and 800 Native Americans came walking through here, they walked right here, their footsteps on the very spot where I happen to be standing right now. And then 24 hours later, Colonel Gibbons and his men came down this very same trail right here where I'm standing. It's so narrow here that they had to walk exactly on this spot. I find that really intriguing, to be literally walking in their footsteps.
So you remember driving down this road the last time in our ATV, Rick?
I can't forget that. We're heading down out of Gibbons Pass right now. We just left the top a minute ago. Last time we were up here, we were in our ATV, and Linda and I stopped for a quick snack at the top. While we were up there, it started raining, so I put on my poncho. And what did you have for rain gear?
I got...
It was just a rain jacket, wasn't it?
Yes, just a rain jacket. No gloves.
So we started down, and right after we started down, we started getting hit by hail. And then heavier hail, and then lightning striking all around us. The hail hurt so bad that we wanted to stop and get out of it somewhere. So we stopped the ATV and we got underneath a tree, and then it dawned upon us we couldn't stay under a tree to get out of the hail because the lightning was hitting all around our vicinity. So we had a choice, get struck by lightning or get pummeled by hail. So we got back on the ATV, and you know, when I had my arms out on the ATV, you know, steering it, well, my arms were bare because of the poncho. My forearms were bare and my hands were bare, and I was just getting beaten and turned red by the hail hitting me. And we eased our way back down the mountain. And by the way, just to give you an idea how hard it was hailing, we ended up with 4 inches of hail on the ground.
Yeah, each side of the road was white, like it had snowed, but it was hail, not snow.
On the way back down, a pickup truck was heading up, and he stopped us and asked us if we were okay, and we knew we only had a couple miles to go and we'd be all right. We were soaking wet and freezing cold by the time we got back to our camp at the bottom of the mountain. By the way, I've got a video out, Linda and I have a video out on things to carry in your ATV, and that's where we learned to carry a tarp. Something to hide under.
You know, as bad as it was,
As frightening as it was,
as cold as it was,
it's one of those experiences that we're kind of glad we went through, because we knew it was one we would never forget.
and in hindsight, it was fun and exciting.
I don't know about the fun part, but oh yeah, it was exciting.
Yeah. Don't ever do this at home.
Yeah. I agree. Hey there, Linda. How you like your fire?
I think it's stupid.
Stupid? Really? How come?
Look at the fire ring. It's too high, too solid.
Can't even see the fire, can you? Can't feel the heat from the fire.
And you can't cook on that fire because you have to lean over in, and someone short like me, I'll lose balance and go head first right into the fire.
Yep, that's about the most worthless fire ring I have ever seen. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe, and
See you around.
see you around.